Ready? Now ready? Max all. I want to work tonight a little bit on face punching. I want to work on some Kyokushin, self-defense later. I want to talk about breathing. I want to talk about speed. I want to talk about accuracy. So we're going to have fun tonight. Just talk through things. And these guys are all champions. So everyone in this front row. So
we're in the safest place in town, then.
yeah, you're in the safest place in town.
And it is really my honor to be here and to share this time with you. Thank you very much. Yes. And breathing each. Knee. Some. She, hold it. She, ish, ni, san, she. What kata is part of this? Anybody? Tension. So anyway, you want to get familiar with your wrist. I have a lot of students that their wrist is stiff. You should be able to do figure eights all the time. You should be able to just grab my hand. You should be able to manipulate. The wrist is very important. The other thing is to be sensitive. When we fight, we're aggressive. We don't need to be aggressive. We need to be sensitive to your opponent's movements and be aware of his movements. Feel his movements. And there's no one way to do anything, as we know. But if he's throwing two fast punches, so you notice when the punch is holding. When the punch is here, I'm not blocking it. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just deflecting. It's almost like I'm shaving his arm. So he's punching here and this. I can't fight this way though. This is what you see a lot of guys fight like this. Look where he is on me. He's throwing punches. He's going to back up with the ball. I'm here. Look where I am. I do not want to be here. I need to maintain my distance. I need to keep my hands up. So he's throwing punches. So I keep my distance. It's a deflection. Again, let's go slow. This one. Go slow. This one. Soft. This is soft. He's going to be exhausted. This is all it is. He's going to save your ass in a fight. So you don't have to do all much blocks. It's just so throw it to my head. No, I can do it this way. So I just want to demonstrate. It's just like that. It doesn't work like him. So I'll do this. It's just easy. No power. It's the weight of the drop of the weight. So yes. So the power is not. It's 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to just do his arms. And then we're going to sit, and he's just going to do my legs. In 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So we'll do the arms first, then we'll do the legs. 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay? You have to have a strong body. Keep it as you sit. Work each other, work each other. Give each other some room. On the side. Don't think about pain, put somewhere else. Put the pain somewhere else. Take the punishment, take the pain, take the pain. Show me ring. Shihan. Ring. What the guy? Ring. Shake hands. Stays up. Show me ring. Maxo. We all know what Kyokushin is about, so when you have someone that steps into a Kyokushin dojo, there's fear and trepidation. He was a little nervous coming in here, and I thought you did an awesome job.
This is an amazing group. I was very inspired by everybody. I mean, it is truly an honor to share the tatami with you guys and walk away with. I respected you guys before I came here, and now my respect is exponentially grown.
One of the things that I know everyone's in this room, and we come from different organizations, we've trained together a number of times, but we're all one. It's a family. Kyokushin is a family, despite the different factions that branch off. We all know the history, we all know the politics. But we step in this dojo, or Petrov's dojo, Shogun's dojo, anyone's dojo, we're all one. It doesn't matter. We all share the same Budo spirit, and that's what we need to maintain, especially in the West, with everything that's going on in the martial arts. And there's a bad sort of aspect to the martial arts, but we need to keep the tradition of Budo in here and we share with our students. Thank you once again. I'll see you in a bit. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very skilled. Excellent.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, believe it or not. I was actually really kind of nervous about showing up for this class, but you got to show up, because you hear about, it's like, Kyokushin, man, I don't know, and what a great bunch of guys. They were, quick, explosive, powerful, but everybody was humble and just, true warriors. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Very impressed with everybody. And there's just like a lot of cool stuff going on, and stuff that I think a lot of people don't realize that Kyokushinkai has, for sure.
Such as what?
Well, there's, there's the soft part of it. There's I know you guys work with weapons. There's, people think there's maybe 6 kata, right? And what is it, like 20?
We have a lot. We have 26, 28, and we keep expanding because we add some more kabuto. And yeah, there's a misunderstanding, I think, a little bit about that in Kyokushin, that we're just a bunch of brutes that are more or less just kickboxers and we fight bare knuckle and all that stuff, full contact. But no, we do a lot of other stuff. We do a lot of kata, and we have our own, not our own philosophy about it, but of course we appreciate and we understand why kata is so important. And we do Iken training, which is Kancho Urayama, my teacher, does a lot of the Iken internal training, which helps us with a lot of explosive power.
Okay. Yeah, explosiveness is what these guys, it was just like out of nowhere, this power comes out of, and it's quick and it's relaxed. And, when you were demonstrating the hitting against my body and I felt it in my back, I mean, it didn't hurt, but I was just like, it was so heavy, and you were just so relaxed and you did it so effortlessly, It was pretty awesome.
Well, martial arts as an art and the tradition of the art versus the sport is a totally different animal, and a lot of not only the teachers, but I think a lot of the Western way we do things with the martial arts today, they don't really get to the depth of how, the mechanics of why that hurts your back. For example, about the weight distribution, how you drop the weight or the shoulders relax, whatever the technique is. Too often now we see everybody just smacking the hell out of the bags, doing the bag work, getting the stamina, and they're strong and they're coordinated, but there's so much more. And there's so much more technique and where the technique comes from,
right,
and how we apply those techniques. And this is the art part of it, and why it takes so long to actually be good at it. You can't be good at martial arts quickly. It's a process.
Yes, sir. Yeah, a lifelong process.
Well,
I want to take you back to you were born in Boston, raised in Boston, and that's where you had your first exposure to martial arts, which I believe is Uechi-ryu, in Okinawan style. What brought you into the martial arts, though? I know that your father was a boxer, and you were a scrapper. I mean, I'm not saying
I was small and I was skinny, and I had a lot of anger management problems.
Okay.
And we moved a few times. So when you move, you experience a little bullying here and there.
Sure.
And in where I grew up, you were tested by fighting. And then you get picked on was not the right word. They wanted to see if you could fight. I mean, it was just a normal thing.
Sure.
And I also honestly had some anger management issues back then, and so I fought a lot. And so my dad said, "Oh, we should put you in the martial arts." I was 11. It was 1972.
Okay.
And there was one school in Reading where I grew up, and it was a Uechi-ryu school, and they wouldn't accept me because it was adult only class, only adults, and I was just I think I was maybe 80 pounds or something, and finally they relented and allowed me to join the school.
And you just...
I loved it.
You did it with the adults?
I trained the adults.
Interesting.
Yeah, and back then, as you know, coming from an Okinawan-based style, all those styles back then, everything was full contact. When you kick to the groin, you hit to the face, all that. Now, of course, it's a point system. Kyokushin obviously maintains its full contact status, but a lot of the karate these days is a point system.
Sure.
But back then, from Goju, Uechi-ryu, everything, it was all full contact.
And the Uechi-ryu is, known for the body conditioning, I mean...
Some of the arm pounding that we did today, I got that from Uechi-ryu. That's not a Kyokushin thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, I took that from Uechi-ryu.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And I did definitely felt my arms getting warm near the end, but it was...
Mine too.
It was pretty awesome. Reminds me back, of me back in the day when I used to train, as a kid too, but, we were hardwood floor, and my sensei, he pushed us and... we loved it, I guess we were crazy. So you went from Uechi-ryu, and then you did that for a few years, but you left. You moved?
Yeah, the dojo moved.
Okay.
And my mom didn't want to drag me that far away.
Okay.
It moved like about 15 miles or something.
Okay.
But I always was doing something. I was always athletic, and my dad did did boxing, and my uncle was a Golden Gloves boxer, and so we're always we were just rough kids,
Yeah.
and played sports, and did a lot of wrestling, and did some judo, and then later in life I did some other styles as well before I got into Kyokushin in the mid '90s.
How did you discover Kyokushin?
It was closest to my house. It was a Kyokushin school close to my house. And when you train, as you probably know, convenience is important.
Yeah.
To be consistent,
Sure.
it has to be convenient because you just won't go.
Yeah.
There's too many things get in the way. So
Yeah.
I think it's important to you have to be consistent when you train. And if the dojo's close by, you're gonna have you're more apt to train more regularly. So it was convenience, really. And I had a really good teacher. My first teacher was excellent and taught me a lot of I already had a background. I already knew Sanchin, I already knew Zankotsudachi. I knew a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
But I was introduced to Kyokushin, and my first teacher was very good and technician, and I was grateful for that. But I ended up leaving and doing some other stuff, but that happens.
But at some point, I think you fell in love with Kyokushin. I mean, you just weren't doing it. It seemed like it became a passion because I can see that in your being and just who you are.
One of my students drove me here tonight, and we actually had this conversation in the car tonight about the idea of loving being a karateka or budoka, or actually loving it. There's a difference of the idea of it, like, oh, I love being a karate guy, or do I love karate? That's a difference, right?
Yeah.
So I know a lot of students that like the idea of it, but don't commit properly. So you have to commit to it. But the commitment comes from love. It doesn't come from a necessity. It comes from you can't help it. You love it. It's like a musician that has to play or a writer that has to write. You have to put that gi on. If I don't put my gi on for a period of time, I really I get really weird.
So you've been doing Kyokushinkai for how many years?
Not that long, 23, 24 years.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
Well, I mean, it doesn't seem like long. I know guys that train for way longer than me.
Well,
I'm just grateful that I had a little bit of background as I walked into Kyokushin because I kind of moved up kind of quick. I've been really fortunate to have excellent teachers, and that's what it's about. That's why when I teach, I really want to make sure I teach properly as best I can, because it's so critical to teach well. Yeah. Because the students are going to go on and teach, or they have the knowledge has to be passed down with integrity. And so I feel a serious responsibility to be a good teacher. And so that's why I always train, I always practice, and I always try to improve my own self so when I teach, I'm teaching properly. And I learned that from my teachers because I had great teachers. So I try to learn everything I can and distill it down to what works, the essence of the technique and the essence of what you're trying to accomplish. I'm not always right. I do my best.
Well, I dig that. What does Kyokushinkai mean? What is the translation of it?
Kyokushin, the translation is ultimate truth, ultimate reality, which is really important to me. I have it tattooed on my chest, and it's a reminder for me. Not about the fighting, not about anything else, but the words ultimate truth mean a lot to me. And to me, it means, who are you? The question begs, who are you? And when you know yourself, know thyself, as Socrates said, that's the ultimate truth. Knowing yourself is the ultimate truth. And one of the ways we get to know ourselves is through this really difficult training. You overcome these obstacles that you don't think you can. Yeah. And as you overcome these obstacles, it's the same tenet in almost all martial arts. Once you can overcome these obstacles and you realize you grow little by little by little, you start learning about yourself. And that's what life is all about, right? To know yourself as best you can.
How does a beginner come in? Like, let's say somebody who does not have any martial arts experience and says, they come in and they say, I want to start taking karate. And how do they condition themselves? I mean, I'm not just talking about, the cardiovascular conditioning, but the body conditioning, can be daunting. And Is that just something where it's like, okay, come back tomorrow, and then they just do it, and then pretty soon it's like, this doesn't bother me anymore? Is
Yeah,
it,
you know, your body conditions very quickly, as you probably know, but obviously with a new student, it has to be gradual. And they understand, you know, you start educating them about what the style is and how we train and what it's about and why we train this way, most importantly, why. And when we're doing arm pounding or leg conditioning or anything, body conditioning, of course, with the white belt, we do it, but much more lightly. And then little by little by little, I mean, you know, you don't just go break a baseball bat with your shin without conditioning your shin. It's the same concept, yeah.
I think there's also probably a psychological shock, an emotional shock that happens where it's just like, I just got hit, you know, and even if it's in the body, and just going, this kind of hurts. But once you get past that, you know.
This is why Sosai Masayama said there's no truth without real fighting. And what he means by that is you have to know what it's like to get hit. And as important, you have to know what it's like to hit something full contact. Because in a real situation, you can't hear very well, you get tunnel vision and you don't hear, and it's because you get hit and it shocks you. And your cortisol goes through and you just get freaked out. Right? So if you condition your body and you get used to being hit, and you do get hit in a fight, you're gonna get hit. No matter how good you are, you're gonna get hit, but it shouldn't throw your game off. Your body should be conditioned enough to understand that, okay, I know what it's like to get hit. And also when you hit, if you practice hitting full contact, you'll hit properly with proper technique. Your wrist won't be like that, for example, or you're kicking, everything will be proper. So when you're in a situation, if you happen to be in one, you're gonna hit full contact, you're gonna hit full force, but with proper technique. And ichigeki, right? Like one strike, certain death. You know, you should be able to take someone out with one strike, but it has to be accurate, fast, strong, powerful, with proper technique. That's why that full contact is so important.
And you know, when I was watching your students, you know, Andy and what was the other gentleman's name? They were sparring.
Petrov. That's it, yeah. Still Petrov.
You know, I mean, they weren't even going 100%.
Oh, no, they're going about 50%.
But, you know, I was looking at that and, you know, it's like, they're pretty tough. I think that, you know, for me, it's hard to see the stuff coming, too, because, you know, oftentimes the round kick is chambered straight up, and it comes out of nowhere, you know. So
and then if you fake it with a Brazilian or something, I mean, it's dangerous for sure.
I mean, I just, you know, when we met at the Black House, and you know, you brought you guys down, we were training with Chinga Machida.
That's right.
I got a chance to spar with Daniel and some of the others, and I just found it, man, I can't read you guys. You know, the timing was, it just really threw me, you know. So
well, you just said something about the chambering of the leg. When all your kicks, the knee has to come up. But then you should be able to throw 3, 4, 5 different types of kicks, chambering the same way every time. That's what's dangerous.
Yeah. I think, you know, I mean, back in the day when I used to watch VHS, you know, I used to watch, you know, Brazilian, what was his name, Francisco Filho.
Oh, amazing.
You know, Kenji Midori and
Andy Hug. All those guys.
Oh yeah, Andy Hug. You know, and it'd be just like, wow, that's you know, they were amazing technicians. You know, wasn't, you know, they were tough to be sure, but just amazing technique.
You know, this is, you did the Kihon with us, the warm up. This is a critical part of Kyokushin because it's about repetition. We do it every class. I did it a little different tonight because of the interest of time and things like that. And you were here and you don't know some of the stuff, so we did an abbreviated version of it, but we do the Kihon every class. It's our warm-up. It's a 20-minute warm-up. All the kicks, all the strikes, all the blocks, everything. Because it's over and over and over and over again for perfection. We're striving for perfection. We never get there, but everything's about striving for perfection, which is why we do so many kata as well, which is a metaphor for life, actually. But the kata is incredibly important for perfecting your technique. There's so many reasons the kata is important. But mostly it's a metaphor for life about striving for perfection and always trying to improve yourself little by little. When you're doing your kata, practicing your kata, you have to be present, mentally present. You can't have your mind wandering. And when we go outside the dojo and with work and with all these other things we do in life, you have to be present and aware. And I think the kata, practicing kata really helps in that respect. It forces you to be present. It forces you to perfect things. And we're always trying to perfect ourselves. So I think that's missed with a lot of people, especially fighters. They miss their perfection of character, the perfection of technique, or perfection of the breath, awareness, presence of mind, all these things that are really important with kata.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're not a fighter because you like kata more or fighting more. I mean, it's all the same. It's all one.
Yeah. Interesting. I agree. Kata is a great way to practice when you got nobody around too. You know. And
it is. And it's like people go, oh well, I'm never going to do that in a fight. Well, no, you won't. There'll be a modification of that, though.
Sure. Well, I'm not going to stand around like this either. You know. So I hear you. Years ago, back in 1989 or so, I worked on a film called Karate Kid 3. I got a chance to work with Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita and, of course, Fumio Demura. The writer of that film is named Robert Mark Kamen, and he's a Goju stylist. And that's how the whole Mr. Miyagi character came about. He named it after Chojun Miyagi.
Sure.
But he was telling me, he goes, yeah, I'm working on a movie, a version of The Punisher. And I said, oh, really? And he goes, yeah, I got Dolph Lundgren as The Punisher. And he says, and he's the real deal. He's a Kyokushin guy, you know. And the stunt guys, you know, he just gets these Kyokushin guys and they just take it, you know.
Well, Dolph, obviously I work with Dolph all the time. In fact, I talked to him last night. He's in Italy. That's why he wasn't here tonight with us.
Oh, okay.
But one of the guys that was in that movie with him was Yamaki, who was world champion.
Oh, yeah. I remember, Yamaki's sensei has a dojo in Torrance, and, he had a DVD that came out on Black Belt magazine, and I, normally, I don't show up at somebody's dojo unannounced, but, I was hoping that he would have a copy of the DVD, and I wanted to buy it, and then he would sign it, and I walked into his dojo, and it was him and another gentleman working out. And they looked at me, I walked in the door, and I was trying to be really respectful, but I felt like they were gonna kill me. Like, they just looked at me and I was like, I wanna buy a DVD. And he said, oh, internet. And, and then he broke a smile. But I think at first he was wondering, what is this dude doing in here,
He's a really, I'm a fan of Yamaki's, and we've trained together many times, and he's just a wonderful guy. We've had many meals together. He's an inspiration,
He's got a great story too.
Yeah.
He was bullied and all that stuff. But what a tremendous guy. And
sure.
I hope I get a chance to meet him again, and perhaps it'll be a little bit more warm and fuzzy. But I just got out of there quick because I was like, these dudes look like they're about to kick my ass.
They will.
So I always ask this of my guests here. What is it that you want to impart to your students? Shihan, Tom Callahan. What do you want to, your students to have taken away from you? Why do you do martial arts? What is the philosophy behind it? And if you can just impart one thing to your students, what would it be?
Character development. Yeah. As I always tell the students, the likelihood of getting in a fight is pretty remote. But if something arises, you can take care of yourself. So to train 3-4 days a week for years, when you probably will never get in a fight, then why are you here? Why are you training? Just because you might get in a fight? I doubt it. They may not even know the answer to that question if I ask it. But over time, the training, I think they become better people, more humble, kind, thoughtful of others, which it all plays into your character. And I really believe this. I know this helped me, and this is why I talk about it, because I think this is what it's about. It's about character development, really, and to just improve yourself, constantly striving for perfection in mind, body, character, and that's a process. And there's no end to it. There's no finality to it. It's just a process, and then you die. But but if you can do something for yourself every day, and then I hate to use the word pay it forward, but you know what I mean, to lead by example, try to inspire others, and it's a domino effect. So I don't like bullies. I don't like people that are in my dojo that are trying to show off or be the toughest guy. I want people in my dojo that are the kindest and nicest guys that happen to know how to fight.
Yeah.
But that's just a byproduct, a residual byproduct of the training. It's not the reason you should be here necessarily. Everyone has their own reasons why they come and train, but I think ultimately if you train long enough, this kind of concept starts to emerge and you start to think about it more. It's hard for me to say it to them and tell them that. They have to kind of discover that for themselves. And they start seeing a change in themselves, and hopefully they like the change. And they attribute it, hopefully, to their training. And they go, I'm going to keep going back because I like what this is doing to me.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to thank you for
Thank you.
what an honor and a pleasure it was.
I appreciate you being here.
Not only to train with you, but to be able to talk with me a little bit and share with our audience. When I first met you, it was at the Shinzo Machida seminar.
And I'm a huge fan of Shinzo's if you're watching this.
But we've been able to keep in touch over, and I just said, I really dig this dude. And I was like, hey, do you want to be on 52 Masters? And you were like, I'm not a master. And I'm like, you're plenty fine to me,